Jennifer from Flux. Welcome back to week 5 of the 2019 Flux Holiday Crochet Along. We are busy at work on our merry little advent calendar. As you can see here, our scene has come together. We have all of our little shapes and little extras that we've added. Today, we're going to be making our bag. I have created a little storage bag. So our advent calendar, in case you're just joining us, and I'll put the links down below if you've missed any of the weeks so far, because there's a lot of parts to this project. In case you missed it, our little parts, we have 25 pieces in all. So from December 1st up until Christmas Day, where you put that gold star at the top, we're going to be making these shapes. And then as each day passes, you just button them onto your project, okay? So in the meantime, before you do button them all onto your project, instead of having them kind of scattered about, I wanted to make a little drawstring bag so you can store them. So they have a place to kind of hang out before they go onto your scenery. Also, when you're done at the end of the season and you want to store it for the year, you can take all these down, or you can leave them on there, but you can store them in the bag and keep everything nice and together. So we're going to kind of put this aside for now because I want to show you the bag. The bag is super simple. It's just some double crochet stitches, and I've used just classic holiday colors. Now you can use some of the other colors from your advent calendar. And then let me just untie this to show you. It's basically, if you've ever made a crochet hat, it's basically going to be, we're going to start from the bottom and work in the round and work upward. And then we're going to add some ribbon and create this little drawstring bag that you can store all of your little, it's like a nice little pouch, more than enough space to store everything. And that way you can store everything. So let's jump right into the tutorial. And just to recap though, we have done week 1, we talked about the supplies only. Week 2, we created this base, this snowy ground, the blue sky. Week 3, we made the tree, including the snow. Week 4, last week, we made all these little shapes. So you probably have a lot of shapes sitting around and you need a home for them. So we're going to make that home today. So let's jump right in and get started. So for today's tutorial, I have this here just to show you. We're going to be putting all this stuff in the pouch at the end. So I'll show you that part too. So we'll have this handy. This is what we've been working on. But for today, we're going to be using the Red Heart Super Saver. This is the same yarn we've been using the whole time. We're only going to be using 3 colors today. The Aran, the Cherry Red, and the Patty Green. Now you can use any colors you like, and if you have some favorites from this that you'd rather use, obviously feel free to do that. You'll also need a couple yards of some ribbon if you like. I had some leftover holiday ribbon and I chose gold because I kind of wanted to mimic my gold star here. But you could make a crochet chain very easily as well if you'd prefer to do that. You could even take all 3 colors and make a matching chain as well. We're going to stick with the same hook we've been using for the whole crochet along, the 6mm J crochet hook, and then our scissors and tapestry needle as well. So this is a really easy bag. We're going to work 2 rounds of each color. So I'll show you how to construct the bag and then later on how to change colors as well. But we're going to start with our green, and we're going to be making like a flat bottom and then working our way up, okay? So to begin, go ahead and put a slip knot on your hook, and I'm going to go ahead and also zoom way in so you can see what I'm doing here. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop. Reach in with your hook, bring up that loop, and tighten. Then we're going to chain 4. So to make a chain, what we're going to do is wrap yarn around hook and bring it through. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to join in the farthest chain from the hook to create a ring. So insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook, and you can kind of open it up a little bit. Hold that tail along the edges you work again so that you can weave it in as you go along. So let's begin the base of our little pouch. What we're going to do for round 1 is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This will count as one of our double crochets. Then we're going to make 11 double crochets into the center of the ring. So that will give us a total of 12 wheel spokes, if you will. So to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So that's 1 double crochet. We're going to make 11. So this is 2, 3, 4, still holding that tail, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So to close our round, what we're going to do is count 3 chains up. Remember that chain 3 at the beginning of the round? Count 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, and then join with a slip stitch to close the round. So I'm just gonna, you might have to wiggle it a little bit. So insert the hook, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook, and then it'll look sort of just like a little circle here, okay? Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna stick with the green, and we're going to begin round 2. So for round 2, you want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to work a double crochet into that very first stitch. Just like that. Then in the next stitch, work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to do this in every stitch all the way around. So work 2 double crochet in the next stitch. We're still sticking with that green color. 2 in the next stitch, 2 in the next stitch. This is going to expand our circle so that we can start to get an increase and create a nice base for our pouch, because we're going to put a lot of little shapes in there. Okay, so 2 in the next stitch, 2 in the next stitch, 2 in the next stitch. And again, if you want to switch up the colors and do some other things, feel free to do that. And if you do change things, be sure and share your work, because I love to see all of the really interesting and beautiful color combinations that all of you choose. Some of them are just so super creative. Okay, so we're coming up around our circle here. Again, just working 2 double crochets in each stitch. I have to say, these holiday colors, whenever I crochet with holiday colors, it makes me feel so festive. Okay, so now we're at the beginning and we're going to join with a slip stitch. So count 1, 2, 3 chains up like we did before, join with a slip stitch to close the round. So now we have a circle and our circle is bigger. We want to switch colors. Now you can do your pouch in all one color and you just keep going if you want to do that. But I want to switch to this red next. Okay, so I'm going to cut the yarn just like that and fasten off. Now as I work my next round, I'll weave those in as I go, but let's trim this middle one, this middle circle here. Give it a nice firm tug. Take your scissors and just snip it right off, okay? So let's begin with our next round. I have my cherry red here, and I am going to, where you fastened off, go back into that same stitch, and we're going to grab our new yarn and sort of hook it right on and pull it through. Just give it a little wiggle if you need to, and then just tie it right on. As a side note, if you have a preferred way that you like to join yarn, I know there's tons of different ways to join yarn, feel free to do that. I like to just kind of snip it off and tie it on, the new yarn on. Insert the hook back into that stitch where you left off, bring up a loop, and then we're just going to repeat the last round that we just did. Okay, so chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work a double crochet into that very first stitch. Okay, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next stitch. The reason we only work the 1 to begin is because that chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Okay, so we're just going to go around working 2 double crochets in each stitch. So 2 in this stitch, 2 in this stitch, all the way around. Okay, I'm going to keep working my 2 double crochets in each stitch, and then we'll rejoin as we get to the end of this round here, and we'll continue. Okay, just working those last 2 stitches. This is our last stitch. I'm working 2 stitches into the last stitch to be a little more clear here. Okay, so we're at the beginning. Count 3 chains up and join with a slip stitch to close. Same thing we've been doing. Make sure when you do this, when you join like this, that you're picking up 2 loops of the chain, not 1, because it could pull it and distort it a little bit, okay? So round 3 is complete. So we're finished increasing. Now we're going to start working up the sides. So like I mentioned before, we're only using 2 rounds per color. So I'm going to stick with the red for now. So all we want to do, it's super easy. We're going to chain 3 once again. 1, 2, 3. So this will be the bottom of our bag, and we're going to build up, okay? So all you need to do now for the rest of your pouch is to work, we did our chain 3, and then we're just going to work a double crochet in each stitch. So when we increased, we did 2. Now we're going to go back down to 1. 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And what that will start doing is building up the sides of our bag, okay? So just work your double crochets in each stitch, 1 in each stitch all the way around, sticking with that same color. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my double crochets 1 per stitch all the way around, and then when we rejoin, I'll show you how to complete this round, and we're going to switch to our 3rd color before we depart, okay? So just keep working, and you can see already it's starting to slope upward to create our little bag. Just working those last couple of stitches of the round, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to close the round. Same thing we've been doing in that 3rd chain up. Okay, so as you can see, it almost looks like a little bowl at this point, but as we keep working round 4 over and over and over again, it'll start to get some sides, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the yarn. Whoops, throwing my scissors everywhere. We're going to cut the yarn and fasten off because we're ready to switch colors, but we're going to just keep repeating round 4 over and over and over until our pouch has grown in height. So where you left off, that stitch where you fastened off, insert your hook back into that stitch. I'm just going to get you started on this round. We've already seen this round, but I'm going to get you started on it with a new color. We're going to switch to the Aran next. Hook the new yarn on, bring it through, and then just tie it right on there, just like that. And now we're ready to get going. So all you're going to do is just keep repeating round 4. Okay, we're going to build up our height. Get our tails out of the way. We will deal with those later. Okay, insert your hook back where you tied it. Bring up a loop, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then what we're going to do is work a double crochet in each stitch. Same thing. We're just repeating round 4. I just wanted to show you what everything looked like with the new color. Okay, so just repeat round 4, switching your colors every 2 rounds. Okay, so I'm going to keep building up my rounds and the sides of my pouch, and then we'll rejoin in just a bit. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take care of all of these ends. We're going to add our drawstring, and then we're going to put all of our little shapes inside. So that'll be a lot of fun, okay? So just keep repeating round 4. We'll rejoin in just a moment, and we'll finish up our pouch. All right, just working that last double crochet of our round here. And then I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to close the round. Before we fasten off, I just want to show you what I did. So we started with 2 rounds of green. And then I did 2 rounds of red, 2 rounds of white, 2 rounds of green, 2 red, 2 white, 2 green, 2 red. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 rounds total. And this is more than enough space to fit your items, okay? So grab your scissors and then just cut the yarn off. We're going to fasten off, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. And then you'll weave in any ends that you have left. I have a few in here, but let's weave in one together. So I'm just going to kind of roll it down because we want to weave it into the inside part. And I'm going to take care of the other ends too. Now some of these we wove in as we went along, so we can just give those a little trim. But the ones that you didn't, grab your tapestry needle, go ahead and thread that, and then you're just going to go in through these back loops of the stitches on the inside of your pouch like this with your tapestry needle. I like to go in one direction and then come back in the other direction just to make sure that tail is locked in place. So come back in the other direction with your tail. And then what you're going to do is give it a little snip, and then we'll take care of the rest of our ends and we'll do our drawstring next. Okay, so our pouch is completely done. We've woven in all the ends and it looks wonderful. The next thing we want to do is add our drawstring. Now you can crochet a chain if you like. You could just do a simple piece of thick yarn. I'm going to use a piece of ribbon that I have, okay? So what you want to do first is sort of figure out where you want your cinch to be, because it's going to be a drawstring bag. You're going to kind of like cinch it up and then do the ribbon through there. So I think the areas in between this green and cream would be ideal, because that'll give you a nice little top. So you can weave this in with your hands, or you can weave this in with a tapestry needle. I'm going to do a tapestry needle. So you want to sort of plan it out a little bit. Lay your ribbon or your yarn or what have you down on the table, because we want it to tie in the front. In the back, where we joined, is sort of like a seam, so I want that to be on the back part. So we're going to lay it like this so we can have our drawstring. So you can do this with your hands, like I said, or your tapestry needle. The eye of your tapestry needle might be just wide enough to accommodate your ribbon, okay? So we want it to come out the front with our tails on both sides. So I'm going to just come in like this with the first piece and bring it through, and then go ahead and grab the other end, because we're going to weave it in that direction. We're going to trim this when we're finished too, just so you know. Okay, so what we want to do is weave it in and out. I'm going to count to keep it consistent looking. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. To keep it even looking, I'm going to count about 3 stitches before I go in and out with my ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to go in and out all the way around. Now my ribbon has a definite front and back. I have these dots. So if your ribbon has a front and back, just pay attention to that as you weave it in. And you can always straighten it out. Whoops, you can always straighten it out later. My ribbon fell out of my needle. But you can always kind of straighten it out later. But you want to go, I'm going to go about 3 stitches in and out, all the way around my pouch. And then every so often just kind of pull it through. You can use your hand to kind of help work it in there. And just go. Now if you want to, you could go count 3 stitches like I did, or you could just go 2 stitches, or you could make it a little bit wider. It's up to you. But the ribbon or chain or whatever you're doing will show. So you want it to be kind of even, okay? And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then come back out in the front, okay? So what we want to do now is, like I mentioned before, see, this is upside down. We want to just go around and make sure that our ribbon is kind of facing the right direction here. And I chose a ribbon that was going to be kind of the height of my stitches, so it's not bunchy looking. So if you're take into account the height of your stitches too, then your ribbon will lay a little bit nice. Then, you know, if you had a really wide piece of ribbon, it might kind of bunch up a little bit. Alright, so I'm just kind of straightening this out so it's nice and smooth. Almost like when you put a belt on. It's going to be sort of like a belt. Alright, now this piece is really twisty, so I'm going to just kind of untwist this. There we go. Okay, so now our ribbon is tied on there, and I just want to get the ends even. Just get everything nice and even. And then what I want to do at the end is grab my scissors, because I want to kind of do like a test bow on this. Get it sort of centered on there. I want to kind of like cinch it up like I'm using it and do a test bow, because I want to make sure that I'm not going to cut my ribbon too short, but I don't want it to be too long either. I want to just do a little bow here. Whenever you're making bows and you want them to look pretty, you want to just sort of kind of give and take with those loops a little bit, okay? So we do need some tails to sort of hang down our pouch because we need, when it opens back up, we don't want it to fall out. So let's just give that a little trim. We're going to make it like the length of our pouch here. Just going to give that a little trim, and I cut mine at an angle. It helps to prevent it from fraying. So our little pouch is finished, and now we can put all the little fun things inside of our pouch. Okay, so I gathered up all the little pieces to our advent calendar, and let's just go ahead and put all the stuff in there. So as you have each day of your advent calendar, you can reach in your pouch. Everything is stored in a pretty little holder for everything, so that way nothing will get lost, and when you store it for the season, everything will be, you know, that it'll keep the dust off, it'll keep everything in one spot, because there are a lot of little pieces to our calendar. So let me just get that bow just right again. I'm just going to tie that up. And you know, I am going to give this one little tail, it's like a little crazy looking. So I'm going to just give that a little snip. Okay, so that is our pouch for our advent calendar. And because we made a flat bottom, you can sort of sit it on the table and have it sit there and wait for each day to count down to the holiday, and you'll have it all in one spot. So that's how you make the pouch for our advent calendar. Now, before we go, one more thing I wanted to mention is to use the hashtag FiberFluxCal to share your work on social media. It's so fun to see everybody's things that they're making. And also, we have two groups. We have a Ravelry group and we have a Facebook group. So hop on there. I'll put the links below. But hop on to those two groups. It's a wonderful community of makers. It's a positive space where you can share your work and ask questions. A lot of people help each other out. And we have so many crochet alongs going on all the time that it's a fun place to see what's happening also. So share your photos of your pouch, and I will see you next week because we are going to wrap everything up and put our advent calendar together. We're going to assemble the whole thing. So now we have all the pieces, we have our pouch, and we've made everything. And next week, I'm so excited, we're going to just put it all together and finish it up. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest FiberFlux video updates. Thanks again.